You sharing text messages, that's just sharing too much. We didn't want to hear about nobody getting hogtied in your bedroom and your salad getting tossed while you wearing a collar. It's too much.
These big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
Football Hall of Famer and broadcaster Shannon Sharpe says he's stepping aside from his job at ESPN in light of new allegations. On Sunday, a woman filed a $50 million civil lawsuit in the state of Nevada.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy choked small white woman.
Knowing that audio was probably going to come out along with additional tapes, whether they be video or audio is unclear at this particular moment in time, Shannon Sharpe felt compelled to come out in his own defense. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is.
Welcome back to StarHush, where nothing stays quiet for long and the truth always finds its way out. Stephen A. Smith is reportedly having the time of his life right now because Shannon Sharpe just took a major L. He's officially out at ESPN, and word on the street, he might not ever be allowed back. Multiple insiders say Shannon is already blacklisted from the network after at least 3 more women came forward with disturbing accusations tied to past behavior. And let's be real, fans are not rushing to defend him this time. In fact, a lot of people online are saying this is nothing but karma spinning back around hard. Folks are calling this one of the wildest and most shameful downfalls they've seen in a minute. In case you missed how it all kicked off, Shannon was out here living large, playing sugar daddy to an OnlyFans model who was way younger. Folks say young enough to be his granddaughter. He really thought he had the upper hand, but turns out the game flipped on him quick. Not only was he tricking off cash like it was nothing, but he was also reportedly involved in some race play content that left the internet straight up disgusted. People aren't just dragging him for bad decisions. They're saying this whole thing shows a serious lack of self-respect and control.
Race play, Shannon Sharpe? Race play? I don't even want to talk about this. But the more videos I scroll past talking about Shannon Sharpe and this relationship that he had with this 19-year-old. And honestly, I was just assaulted by this information. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm scrolling, minding my business, and I see a deluge of text messages that he released from this girl that are weird and with an obvious race fetish. And it's not just her with the race fetish. He obviously was turned on by these conversations as well. And he only released what she was saying. Put a big black baby in me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. I wouldn't be surprised if she was calling him the N-word during coitus. He's into that. And if this man is turned on sexually by being racialized in such a weird way.
And if the internet wasn't already in flames, that race play mess was just the start. When the receipts dropped, it was chaos. Screenshots, texts, and even audio clips came flying out, including one where Shannon was allegedly saying he wanted to choke the woman. In public. Yeah, it's that messy. At this point, folks are saying it's officially a wrap for Shannon's reputation. And here's the kicker. Shannon himself already admitted that before this even went public, he tried to throw millions at his accuser to keep it quiet. We're talking hush money moves like he knew those skeletons weren't just in the closet, they were rattling loud. But Gabriella, the woman involved, clearly had a plan of her own. She played it slow, waited for the right moment, and now everything's out in the open. And Shannon's image is in shambles. People aren't just shocked. They're disgusted by how reckless he was moving behind the scenes. Instead of support, the public, including Stephen A. Smith, is dragging him hard. Almost 60 years old and still out here chasing down OnlyFans models with zero discipline? The embarrassment is loud. Even Cat Williams and Monique allegedly tried to warn him. They told him these young women could flip the script quick. But Shannon wasn't trying to hear it, and now he's learning the hard way.
Grateful. You just can't do it.
Instead of taking the warning seriously, Shannon was just out here giggling like nothing could touch him. And now, he's watching the whole bag fall apart. Millions gone, TV appearances drying up. And whatever dignity he had left, that might be out the window too. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith is somewhere cracking up behind the scenes, even though he tried to act like he felt bad for Shannon. But let's be real, the smirk said it all. That man's been waiting to slide in and take the spotlight back. And believe it or not, this story's not even close to done. The mess is just starting to unravel, and things are getting wilder with every new piece that drops. We've only scratched the surface of this scandal. So let's dig into how deep it really goes.
All of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses.
Shannon Sharpe just fumbled that ESPN bag, and right now, it's looking real grim for him. That fall from grace, it's hitting fast and hard. Now, for anybody who doesn't really know how deep this is, ESPN ain't just your average sports channel. It's majority owned by Disney. Yeah, that Disney. The one that's all about family-friendly content, squeaky clean image, and protecting their brand like it's gold. So once the lawsuits started flying, the wild leaked texts hit the timeline, and those disturbing race play allegations made headlines, Disney didn't wait a second to start backing away. And here's the thing. ESPN has handled plenty of drama before. They've survived cheating scandals, locker room fights, even some on-air slip-ups. But this? A high-profile lawsuit, a 19-year-old OnlyFans model, and race-based bedroom content? That's not just messy, that's a PR disaster they had no interest in fixing. Shannon thought he could lay low and let it all blow over. But when you're caught up in a scandal that touches both race and those types of personal allegations, ain't no sweeping that under the rug. It's the kind of heat Disney refuses to touch, not even with gloves on. Then, on April 24th, Shannon dropped a statement saying he was stepping away temporarily from his ESPN duties. He also said he plans to return by the start of NFL preseason. But let's keep it real. He made it sound like it was his choice, like he was taking a breather on his own terms. But sources from inside ESPN are telling a very different story. According to insiders, Shannon didn't step away. He got pushed out, and the higher-ups gave him the courtesy to frame it like it was his decision. But behind the scenes, they were done with him, for good. Word is he's unofficially banned now. ESPN doesn't want his name linked to their brand moving forward at all. It's a wrap, and the door's not getting reopened. Then you got Stephen A. Smith jumping in the mix. As both commentator and executive producer of First Take, Stephen hopped on his platform to act concerned. He gave this whole emotional speech like he was really hurt for Shannon. But if you listened close, he was talking like Shannon's career already had a tombstone. He said the right things. But between the lines, it was clear. Stephen knows the chapter is closed, and he might just be sliding into that spotlight full time.
It's a sad situation. Shannon Sharpe is somebody I work with a couple of days a week. Shannon Sharpe is somebody that I brought to ESPN. To be clear, even though this podcast, this YouTube show is owned and operated by me solely, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be dismissive of ESPN, who employs me in my daytime job on First Take. So I sit here before you today letting you know that they are aware that this is a subject that I was going to broach, because I owe them that courtesy. I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN. I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. But I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is and how emphatic his client is proclaiming that she is right and she's telling the truth. I have no idea what direction ESPN and Walt Disney will go in when it comes to this matter. All I do know is it won't be me making a decision. It'll be others upstairs. In the end, all of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses. That's the situation, unfortunately, that Shannon Sharpe finds.
But Stephen A. Smith wasn't done just yet. After the news broke that Shannon was stepping away from ESPN, Stephen circled back and addressed the situation again. And this time, he was dropping major hints with a side of shade. He kept reminding everybody how Disney does not play when it comes to their brand. Once they label you a liability, it's over. No appeals, no comeback tours, just a clean break. Stephen said it loud and clear. Certain actions bring certain consequences. And Shannon crossed that line. Then Stephen threw another jab without saying it directly. He pointed out that Shannon releasing those text messages from the OnlyFans model did way more harm than help. According to Stephen, that move alone had Disney and ESPN ready to shut it all down.
This three-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer, who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him, insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual. In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003, excluding my departure from 2009 to 2011, when I was gone for those 2 years. Outside of that, I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN, who's under the umbrella of Disney. And it wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all of that stuff. Once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there, it was uncomfortable to listen to. And it was not something that Walt Disney once associated with its brand. So to have him on the airwaves while all of that stuff was put out there was not something that Disney was going to take. That is what I mean when I say I'm not surprised.
Stephen A. Smith didn't even have to raise his voice. He threw subtle shade that hit like a punch. He basically dragged Shannon for being way too reckless at his big age, moving like he was untouchable. He hinted that it was embarrassing to watch someone with so much success and status lose it all behind a 19-year-old. Like, how do you fumble the bag, your rep, and future deals? All because you couldn't keep your impulses in check? Stephen didn't have to say much. The message was loud. Shannon didn't just get played, he played himself.
Thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true. I've had people open their mouth and they've said Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I could just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless. And you're destined to fail and fall on your face. Some people sit up there and they look at me and they say, Stephen A. don't get himself in this kind of trouble. How does he pull it off? Well, first of all, there's certain behaviors and proclivities that you never have to worry about me engaging in. But most importantly than that, I often say this about Walt Disney. I'd rather work for a place with standards than one looking for them.
Now, Stephen tried to play it slick. He said he wasn't calling out anyone specific, claimed he was speaking in general, talking about people who move like they're above the law, like they'll never face consequences. But let's not play dumb. Everybody knew exactly who he meant. Everything Stephen said lined up perfectly with Shannon's downfall. The timing, the tone, the message, all of it. Fans caught on quick, and that's why so many are saying they don't feel bad for Shannon at all. No sympathy, just disappointment. They're saying he's way too grown to be making rookie mistakes like this. He's been in the spotlight long enough to know how the game works, and instead of moving smart, he walked right into the trap. And to make it worse, Shannon used to be the one preaching wisdom and quoting his grandma like gospel. But when it came time to live by those words, he clearly didn't take his own advice.
Grandma used to say,
But it wasn't just Shannon's grandma trying to steer him in the right direction. Cat Williams tried too. Remember when Cat sat down on Club Shay Shay last year and looked Shannon straight in the face and warned him? He told him loud and clear, messing with certain women, especially white women in the industry, could land him in deep trouble. At the time, folks thought Cat was just being dramatic or playing up for the cameras. But now, that interview is looking more like a prophecy. Because here's what most people didn't realize. Based on the timeline from the lawsuit, Shannon was already dealing with that OnlyFans model while that interview was being filmed. So while Cat was warning him about how fast things can flip, Shannon was already in the middle of the exact mess he was being warned about.
Only go ready for that.
Right after Cat Williams' interview took off and had everybody talking, Monique pulled up to Club Shay Shay and dropped some real grown woman wisdom of her own. She didn't sugarcoat it either. She told Shannon flat out, "You need to start dating women your own age." Monique wasn't playing. She said these wild age gap relationships are dangerous and come with way too much drama, especially for a man in Shannon's position. She basically told him, settle down, get serious, and stop entertaining young women who could flip your whole life upside down in a second.
Do it.
Told you. I told you. I told you.
you ain't tell me.
But you know what's really got people side-eyeing Shannon even harder right now? There's a clip going viral where he flat out says he'd go to hell for $50 million. Yeah, he actually said that. Folks are now dragging that video back into the spotlight, calling it the most ironic moment ever. With everything happening, that one comment is hitting way different now. People are saying he spoke his downfall into existence without even realizing it.
50 million, I go to hell. For 50 million, I go to hell. For 50 million, I go to hell.
Well, it looks like the devil was listening loud and clear when Shannon said he'd go to hell for $50 million, because now his accuser, Gabriella Zinga, is suing him for exactly that amount. You can't make this stuff up. But here's the thing. This ain't just about a massive age gap. It's deeper than that. According to the lawsuit and the very messages Shannon released himself, this situation was wrapped in some dark and disturbing territory. Based on insiders and receipts, Shannon was the one allegedly requesting those racially charged role-play scenarios. And people are saying he was the main one pushing it behind closed doors. Now let's be real. Gabriella wasn't just some girlfriend. The messages paint her more like a paid performer, someone doing what she was compensated to do. But at some point, things clearly went off the rails. Whether she had a setup plan from the start or pulled her consent back and Shannon ignored it, either way, the optics are terrible. The reason people think Shannon was paying her for specific fantasies. In one of the texts he posted, Gabriella mentioned him sending $25,000 per session, and called them cheats. That's a major red flag and fans aren't ignoring it. But here's where it gets even more wild. Gabriella was sending Shannon some super explicit messages back, like saying she wanted him to and even talking about putting her tongue in his. Yeah, you get the idea. But here's the catch. A lot of folks believe she wasn't actually into him like that at all. Most people think she was just doing what the money told her to do. And notice something real sneaky. Shannon only shared the texts she sent him. Not a single one of his replies made it into the public eye. That's why fans are connecting the dots and saying, wait a minute, she's probably saying all that wild stuff because Shannon was the one asking for it in the first place. This whole situation is spiraling, and it's only making Shannon look more guilty with every new piece of the puzzle.
And just one more thing about Mr. Sharpe. Not so sharp, clearly. It is my theory, just my opinion, my theory, not fact, my opinion. I think all of this RACE rhetoric that was in those text messages started with him. It started with him. It's becoming more and more clear to me, in my opinion, that he has a race fetish. He has a fetish for that type of dynamic. Think about it. This was a 19-year-old white woman when he met her. I don't know any 19-year-old white woman that's running around hollering about a big black baby and baby gravy. Shannon was a 54-year-old big black grown man from the backwoods of Georgia. Gravy sound like some he's familiar with. Big black babies, he probably seen a few in his day. Born in the backwoods of Georgia where he grew up with his grandma and all the other folks. But I just don't think that came from her. Now, is she repeating it back in those text messages? Yes. That's why he released her messages, not his. Peep that. Okay? We haven't seen what his responses was. And I guarantee you, when they post those messages, y'all gonna see. All of that race started with him. It's a fetish. And he could only play that kind of stuff out with a young girl. He couldn't, like Monique was trying to tell him, get an older gal. Older gal ain't going for that. They was going to immediately know he was a freak and a weirdo. A 19-year-old don't know no better. That's why she repeating it back to him, because he said it to her first. Older men, that's why they tend to want to be with younger women. They're more impressionable. They can mold them. They can shape them to be what they want them to be. Do what they want them to do. You let him come to a 40 or 50-year-old woman talking about put a big black baby and baby gravy. We gonna be looking like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, that started with him. Mark my words, it's gonna come out. But that race stuff started with Shannon.
Now, whether this whole thing between Shannon and Gabriella was fully consensual from start to finish, or if it spiraled into something else, that's for the courts to figure out. But one thing that's real clear, Shannon is not looking good right now. His image keeps taking hit after hit, especially after Gabriella's lawyer, Tony Busby, dropped an explosive audio recording. In the clip, Shannon can be heard threatening to choke her, and even saying he'd do it in public. That alone has fans losing their minds. Now let's be honest, the whole recording feels strange on both ends. Some parts sound like they're in the middle of a roleplay situation. But at the same time, Gabriella seems to be baiting Shannon, trying to get him to say wild things. And the craziest part, Shannon actually goes along with it.
But Gabby.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well...
Well, what?
Even if Gabriella did bait Shannon into all that strange talk, the reality is it was all recorded. And now she's flipping the narrative and saying it wasn't consensual. Whether that's true or not, fans aren't giving Shannon a free pass, not one bit. They're saying he has nobody to blame but himself. At almost 60 years old, he's still out here getting caught up by a 19-year-old. Like she wasn't gonna flip the whole script on him the second it benefited her. People are stunned by the lack of judgment. Like, bro, how did you not see this coming? The lack of self-control and awareness, straight up mind-blowing. Fans are calling it one of the worst falls from grace they've seen. Not because of one mistake, but because Shannon kept doubling down like he couldn't be touched. And let's not forget, Shannon tried to spin this into a bigger issue by playing the targeted black man card. He compared himself to Jay-Z and claimed that Tony Busby only comes after successful black men with money and influence. But fans aren't buying it. They're saying this ain't a setup, this is self-destruction, and Shannon lit the match himself.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Now, even if Shannon's right about Tony Busby having a pattern of going after successful black men, folks online are not here for that angle right now. Social media is lighting him up, saying he's got no business trying to pull the black man being targeted card in this mess. Why? Because Shannon literally involved himself in race play and paid a white woman to degrade him in that way. People are like, how are you gonna claim racial targeting, then turn around and willingly participate in racially charged roleplay behind closed doors? It's not adding up, and fans are calling him out heavy for that contradiction. To make it worse, Shannon tried to get ahead of the drama by warning the public that Busby might release a private video clip, one that, according to him, would play into every harmful stereotype about black men. But here's what fans are really saying. Shannon's the one who fed into those stereotypes with his own behavior. He went from creating those moments in private to suddenly asking for public sympathy, like he's the one being unfairly attacked. The flip is wild, and people just aren't feeling it. Instead of showing support, fans are clowning the situation. They're flooding social media with memes, jokes, and commentary, especially about the race play part. Shannon's attempt to turn this into a community cause is falling flat fast, and folks are saying the only person who put Shannon in this position is Shannon himself.
Get this party started. Lay it on me.
Get your black over here, buckwheat.
Okay, come straight out the gate with you.
Yeah, I know that's what you like to be called, ain't it? Buckwheat. Now stop flapping them gigantic lips and use them for what they're supposed to use to, not talking to their superiors. I see you shucking and jiving out in them fields, and I want a piece. That's all you're good for,
so
a piece of meat. You walk like you be wading in the water. Ooh, if my daddy and his friends saw you, boy, they'd take you out so quick.
Cause he be looking at me.
I know you want some of this fat back that I got. Make your lips all greasy, I know.
I think what's the matter?
I thought we was just race playing. I thought you liked it.
Let's talk about those text messages Shannon dropped trying to control the narrative. Because instead of helping his case, they made everything worse. Fans were quick to point out that those texts didn't clear his name and they just raised more eyebrows. In fact, people are saying this ain't even the first time Shannon's been caught moving weird. They're digging up old stories, past interviews, and all kinds of strange moments that show a pattern. And now, nobody's falling for the I'm the victim act.
We want out of the group chat now. Like right now, because it's getting disgusting and you need to act your age. First, we had to hear the audio from when you accidentally went live that absolutely nobody asked for. We could have went our whole lives without hearing that. Then you started doing infomercials about ED pills. And now you sharing text messages that's just sharing too much. We didn't want to hear about nobody getting hogtied in your bedroom and your salad getting tossed while you wearing a collar. It's too much. At what point do you say you just too old? He like that old grandfather that every time he come around, he want to tell you about all the women he got. And when everybody else is talking, he want to talk like he's still in his 20s and he hanging out with the young folks. Pack it up. You just too freaked out at your old age. And we don't want to know about, we truly don't want nothing to do with it. Please, why didn't you just share that in the courts? Share it with the lawyers. Why did we need to see that? Sick of him.
But now it's your turn to sound off. How are you feeling about this whole messy situation surrounding Shannon Sharpe? Is Shannon really a victim of the industry trying to take him down? Or did he bring all of this on himself with zero accountability and wild choices? And what about ESPN? Do you think Disney made the right move by cutting ties and protecting their brand? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. We want to hear it all from my stars and my hushers. Be honest, be bold, because this story's got everybody talking. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, smash that bell, and share it with someone who's been following the drama just like you. You already know the next drop is coming in hot. See you on the next one, my shining stars and loyal hushers. Stay sharp, stay tuned, and stay out of trouble.